A lot of times when you are getting into a problem, you just need to mess with it a little bit to even understand it. So for those of you not familiar with the game of chess, this is the setup here on the left where you have 16 pieces sparring against 16 other pieces, a very old fun game. Then I also have this top-down view of this chessboard that I want to focus in on here to the right, and that's where I'm going to mess around a little bit. So the first thing you might notice is that it seems pretty easy to count all the squares. You just, 1, 2, 3, and you might even find a shortcut like, hey, this is 8 squares along this side and 8 squares along this side, and 8 times 8 is 64. I'm done with the problem. But as you examine it further and you think about it, you're like, that seemed a little too simple. Surely that wasn't the problem. You might notice that a square is just really a geometric shape with 4 equivalent sides and 4 right angles. And so what if I were to look for squares of any size on this chessboard? Well, I might notice that if I look right here, that there's a square that's bigger. It's 2 by 2, and that's a square. Well, okay, but there's also a square that might overlap that of the same size. Like for example, there's another 2 by 2 right there, and that can be a little bit troubling. And then you might notice that, wow, there's actually bigger squares. Like there's a 3 by 3 right there. That's a square. And in fact, there's 4 by 4s, and the very largest square would be like, what if I just called the whole thing a square? And so as I'm getting a little overwhelmed now thinking about it, I notice there's lots of size of squares, and I'm thinking, how can I ever count them? I surely need some strategies to keep track or somehow to organize my thinking. But at least now that I've messed around with it, I have a better idea about the problem.